Hi math friends. Today we're going to talk about histograms. A histogram, if we're looking at this picture right here, it kind of looks like a bar graph, which some of us may be familiar with. But the difference here is a histogram uses intervals to help us define, well, how many times did something happen? What was the frequency of that? And the intervals have a set number to each of them. In the example I drew here, each of these intervals has 5 numbers in it. 5 through 9 has 5 numbers, 10 through 14 has 5 numbers, and so on. When we have our bar graph go up, we say, well, how many times did something fall in that interval? For this one, it happened up to 2 times. For this one, it happened 1. This one, it happened 3. And this one right here happened 1 time. This is just an example of what one looks like. Let's look at some real data and try to figure out how to make a histogram from it. Music Fest. Right here we have a whole bunch of different prices of tickets. And we're going to find out how can we make a histogram from this data to help us distribute or to help us find how much money we would spend for each ticket range, or how many times each ticket range price would appear. So let's look at each of these. We have a ticket range that I've chosen of $25 to $49.99, and then $50 to $74.99, and finally $75 to $99.99. You make these ranges by looking at your data and seeing what's our lowest, what's our highest. How can I divide those in the best way? We're going to look at $25 to $49.99. Where does that happen? $25 to $49.99 we have 1 time, so I'm going to just make a tally mark there. $50 to $74.99, that happens once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 times. And then our last occurrence, $75 to $99.99, our highest price tickets, that happens once and twice. Then we're just going to add our tallies to get our frequency. We have 1 tally here, so that's a frequency of 1. And then we have 7 tallies here, so that occurs 7 times. It's a frequency of 7. And in our last interval, we have a frequency of 2. Now we're going to actually make a histogram from this. So we're going to use this data right here in this chart to make a histogram. Remember, we need to label our axes. Cost of different concerts. This is somewhat related to what we just did here. We also have our number of concerts, which I labeled by 1s, and our average ticket price, which we have our intervals. $25 to $49.99, $50 to $74.99, and finally $75 to $99.99. We have to fill in those values now. This occurred once, so we're going to make our bar there. Our middle value, $50 to $74.99, remember that occurred 7 times. So we're going to draw it all the way up to 7. If we don't remember, we can always refer back to our chart. So we're going to do that, shade that one in. And finally, our last ticket price of $75 to $99.99, that occurred twice. In a histogram, these should be touching and they should be intervals. So which one appeared the most, which interval occurred the most frequent? That was our middle ticket price, our $50 to $74.99. And which one occurred the least? We can just look at this. Which level's the lowest? Oh, our low ticket price of $25 to $49.99.